As children, we've all wished we could have the most wild and exotic animals as friends. I myself wanted a monkey. Unfortunately, unless you're a zookeeper, you've got no chance in ever befriending a wild animal. But that's not to say that people haven't done it. There are plenty of incredible stories out there of people befriending the wildest of creatures, animals like lions, giant snakes, and grizzly bears. Well, today we're going to go over some of the craziest and most heartwarming stories. Here are 5 unbelievable bonds between humans and wild animals.
5.
The bear is the best man. How many people can say that their best man at their wedding was an 800-pound grizzly bear? Well, unless you've got an excessively hairy uncle, there's only one person who can make that claim to fame. Casey Anderson is a well-known naturist who took things to a whole different level when he adopted an 800-pound grizzly bear named Brutus. Now, when it comes to adoption and wild animals, you'd think it would be like those commercials on TV, where you donate a certain amount of money a month and you get sent regular updates on how the animal you've adopted is doing. This, however, is the literal interpretation of adoption, as Casey Anderson has essentially taken in Brutus as if he was his own flesh and blood. What's even more amazing is that you'd think Brutus would be a bit of a troublemaker because, he's a freaking 800-pound bear. But because Casey adopted him when he was just a cub, Brutus was raised to be a placid creature. Obviously, you still have risks if you're going to visit Casey, but Brutus is so well behaved that he even, on occasion, has dinner with Casey and his family at the dinner table. That is insane. Not to mention, as we've previously mentioned, because he's so well behaved and has had such an impact on Casey's life, as Casey did on Brutus's, Brutus was made the best man of his wedding in 2008. That must have been quite the tuxedo fitting. Now, if that's not bonding, we don't know what is.
4.
Young Cambodian boy and a python. Who would have thought cold-blooded creatures like snakes have a heart? Now, sure, it's normal for people to own snakes as pets, but this snake isn't any normal pet snake you can buy from your local pet store. No, this is a 16-foot, 220-pound python. Surely that's a recipe for destruction, but as it turns out, the python was only looking for a friend. Jorn Sambath, a young boy in Cambodia, befriended this python, whose name is Comrium, and they have been inseparable ever since. As previously stated, Comrium is a 16-foot python and weighs 220 pounds. Comrium had apparently slithered into the household, and the boy, who was only 3 months old at the time, discovered him and ended up playing with him. This is pretty much any parent's worst nightmare come to life, but things turned out all right. In fact, they turned out better than all right. The Sambath family believed that the snake brought good luck, but it also put a financial strain on the family, as they had to feed him 22 pounds of chicken a week. He had to be relinquished to a rescue center, but the boy still visits his best friend regularly.
3.
Raising a gator. Gators and crocs are some of the scariest creatures on the planet. However, much like snakes, it seems as though some of these creatures have a good heart. Mary Thorne adopted Rambo some 11 years ago when the alligator was still a baby reptile. Now sure, adopting a wild animal from when it's a baby sounds like a good idea, but common sense would tell anyone that something like an alligator, when it's fully grown, could easily turn on you in an instant. But this isn't the case at all. Under her care, Rambo has been potty trained. Yes, you didn't hear that wrong. He also understands sign language, and most impressive of all is that it can even ride a quad bike. Now, as amazing as that sounds, don't give them more options to chase us, please. In order to keep the 6-foot-long alligator, she had to move to a property with 2.5 acres of open space or give him up to a sanctuary. Mary, when explaining her friendship with Rambo, says, quote, "He's like my son. He's family."
2.
A penguin. Okay, let's see a show of hands. Who as a kid wanted to have a penguin? No? Well, you're boring, aren't you? All jokes aside, one man was able to befriend a penguin after saving its life. João de Souza is a 71-year-old widower from Brazil, and he discovered a poor penguin washed up on a beach covered in oil and fighting for life. De Souza wasted no time in helping it, as he would quickly clean up, feed, and nurse the penguin back to health before trying to release it back into the wild, which is crazy because they're in Brazil, but I'm sure it would have managed. However, the penguin wouldn't leave his side. Because the penguin wouldn't leave, D'Souza ended up taking the penguin in himself. Jingling, as what the penguin is now called by the locals, follows Zhao wherever he goes in the village. The two spend time together strolling around and swimming on the beach. The two are pretty much inseparable.
1.
Lion who remembers the two men who saved him. Now this story is famous. This one dates way back to 1969. Lions are usually given such a bad rap, but this story shows us how gentle these creatures can really be. John Rendell and Ace Berg both pooled money together and purchased a 35-pound lion cub from Harrods department store. And yes, if you live in the UK, Harrods is now a card and gift store. Don't ask us what changed. The friends raised the lion named Christian in their London home, but within a year, Christian had grown too big to keep and was considered to be dangerous. Rendell and Berg knew they couldn't keep him much longer, but didn't quite know what to do with him. Thanks to conservationist George Adamson, with his help, Christian was relocated to Africa, where he was rehabilitated and released into the wild. Now, you'd think that's where the story would end. Well, no. We're getting to the best part right now. After a few years had passed, Rendell and Berg decided that it would be a good idea to visit Christian. They were told their odds of finding him were slim, and the chances of him recognizing them were even slimmer. Shortly after they arrived in Kenya, however, Christian appeared outside Adamson's camp and recognized the two of them immediately. Christian ran up to the two of them and gave them both a hug in what is without a doubt one of the most heartwarming reunions you'll ever see. And that's our list. Tell us, do you know of any other amazing human and wild animal bonds? Let us know about it in the comments section below. Please remember to subscribe and tap the bell button so you'll be notified when new videos are uploaded. Thanks for watching.
Don't forget to like us and subscribe for more elite facts.